Welcome to My Irish Radio Music and Culture News, your connection to everything happening in the world of Irish music and culture. I'm Jamie Flanagan. Each episode will share the latest news from Ireland's vibrant music scene, from traditional and folk to rebel ballads, pub tunes, Celtic rock, and today's top Irish pop. We'll also bring you updates on festivals, cultural events, and people keeping Irish heritage alive around the world. And remember, My Irish Radio is more than just a station. It's your community, your soundtrack, your voice. You can listen 24/7 at myirishradio.com and through the links in the podcast description below. Here's the best part. You can be part of it. Host your very own show on My Irish Radio. Choose your playlist, share your stories, make My Irish Radio your Irish Radio. Let's get into what's happening this week in Irish music and culture.
Today we're taking on a really fascinating deep dive into recent coverage of Ireland.
It's a real study in contrasts, isn't it? On one side, you have this thriving, almost unprecedented global success in the arts.
And on the other, you're seeing Ireland grapple with some really complex policy challenges, questions of identity, and huge heritage projects.
We've synthesized a whole stack of material for year-end reviews from arts and music critics, heritage updates, and news reports on some key policy debates.
That tension is really the core of what we're looking at today, these two parallel currents.
Absolutely. And speaking of that success, we have to start with the detail that, for me, was the loudest signal of this cultural surge.
That must mean the music data.
I do. When we looked at the Spotify rap data for 2025, there was a genuine aha moment.
Right.
The Belfast rap group Kneecap surpassed the Beatles in Irish listenership.
And that detail, it's not just a quirky stat, you know. It's an immediate illustration of the scale of the cultural shift we're seeing.
Explain that a bit more.
Well, Kneecap, for anyone who doesn't know them, is a controversial, very political, bilingual hip-hop trio. They perform in both Irish and English Gaels and English.
Okay.
So for a group like that, one that really champions a radical approach to language and identity to eclipse arguably the biggest musical legacy act of all time.
Domestically.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Domestically. It tells you that contemporary Irish identity is asserting itself in a huge way. The traditional gatekeepers are being challenged.
It's the perfect frame for our two main threads, then. This incredible artistic velocity, this cultural flow, right alongside these deep historical and geopolitical challenges that are demanding, well, modern solutions. So let's stick with that sonic boom for a minute. Kneecap is grabbing the headlines, but the sources we looked at all confirmed 2025 was a genuine music explosion across the board.
Absolutely. You're talking about a huge wave of momentum for critically loved acts, like, say, the alt-country singer Enya.
And of course, the post-punk powerhouse Fontaines DC.
Right. And it's important for you to understand this isn't just about popularity. This is about critical validation, both at home and abroad.
How so?
Well, the sources we pulled from include these really comprehensive year-end reviews. The Irish Times put out its big lists for best Irish albums, best trad albums of 2025.
And you have critics like Nine weighing in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for anyone who might not know, Nine is a very influential independent voice. So the fact that he, along with the traditional media, is championing this new waves shows you how cohesive the domestic scene is right now.
It's not just a youth culture thing, it's a mainstream critical consensus.
And that consensus translated directly into global recognition. This is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Fontaines DC, originally from Dublin, they got 2 Grammy nominations for their album Romance. Not 1, but 2.
That's a huge milestone. I mean, that shifts the whole conversation about them.
How do you mean?
Well, it takes them from being these critically acclaimed darlings of the indie world
To being genuine global heavy hitters.
Exactly. That's the leap. It's a powerful endorsement. It signals that they're now serious contenders in the global rock landscape. And their music is so often about these, grim, poetic takes on Dublin life.
And now that's being celebrated on the biggest stage in the world.
Right.
And their success also speaks to the diversity of the Irish sound, which is something the sources kept highlighting. Because while these new acts are breaking records, you still have this foundation of legacy that holds huge sway.
Like Enya.
Exactly like Enya. The sources reminded us of her massive, just sustained global sales. She's still a perennial leader in that ambient Celtic New Age sound.
It proves the appetite is there for a whole spectrum of Irish sound, far beyond rock or rap.
It's a spectrum, you're right. from the political urgency at Kneecap all the way to the sort of serene global sound of Enya.
And speaking of legacy, the sources also noted the 2-year anniversary of Shane MacGowan's passing, the frontman of the Pogues.
That's a moment for reflection, for sure. MacGowan's work is that perfect bridge between traditional and contemporary.
Using traditional forms, but with a gritty, modern, lyrical sensibility.
Yes. It's a celebration of a tradition of poetic, often politically charged storytelling that you can see deeply informs this current generation. The story is always connected. It's never fragmented.
So we know the scene is thriving. What about the future? Is the momentum slowing down at all?
Not at all. The forward momentum is strong. We saw that the Belfast singer-songwriter Joshua Burnside announced an album for March 2026.
Okay, so that promises more of that folk tradition mixed with experimental production. The evolution continues.
And at the same time, the bedrock of all this, traditional music, is getting significant institutional support.
You're talking about John Tray.
I am. The traditional music series John Tray is returning to TG4 in the new year.
And just so you know, TG4 is the Irish language public broadcaster. The return of a show like that, it's a huge affirmation of the importance of Gaelic and traditional arts.
A powerful one. And that reach is truly global. We saw mentions of events like the Comhaltas event in Rockaway Beach, New York.
So that's the international organization for promoting Irish music.
That's the one, bringing trad music, song, and dance to New York in January. It's a cultural connection that's maintained all over the world.
And you can't forget the local scenes, like the Big Tom Weekend, celebrating the king of Irish country music. It's undeniable. The energy is there at all levels.
You're seeing cultural borders just being effortlessly erased by sound.
Okay, so culture is blowing past borders.
You're listening to My Irish Music and Culture News, brought to you by My Irish Radio, streaming the best in Irish and Celtic music all day, every day. From classic jigs and reels to the latest Irish rock and pub favorites, we celebrate the sound of Ireland worldwide. Want to be more than a listener? Be a host. Share your love for the Irish music by hosting your own show on My Irish Radio. It's easy to get started. Just send us an email, myirishradio@gmail.com. Don't forget, you can listen 24/7 at myirishradio.com. Make My Irish Radio your Irish radio.
But now we have to pivot to the other thread in our deep dive.
Right.
Because when we look at policy and governance, the sources suggest that borders are, in fact, being reinforced, and that's causing new anxieties.
This is where the flow of culture meets the friction of administration.
That's a good way to put it. The music celebrates a shared identity, while the policy discussion is all about the physical and economic realities of a border.
And the key problem right now is the new UK electronic travel authorization, the ETA scheme.
Let's clarify what that is for anyone listening internationally.
Sure. It's essentially a digital travel permit. It's a bit like the US ACE-to-ACE system. Non-UK or Irish citizens have to get one before they can travel to the UK.
And the fundamental tension here is the Common Travel Area, the CTA, between the UK and the Republic of Ireland.
Which historically meant people could move freely across the border, no checks.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, the worry is very real. If you're a tourist, say from America or France, and you fly into Dublin,
Which is in the EU.
right, and you want to take a trip up to Belfast in the north, which is in the UK, you now need an ETA.
And that could potentially hinder that seamless flow of tourism from the south into Northern Ireland.
And critically, it severely impacts border businesses.
The ones that rely on that daily cross-border fluidity. People commuting for work, shopping, visiting family.
So what's the response been?
Well, the sources highlighted the political reaction. There are calls for specific exemptions to the scheme to try and safeguard those economic and cultural ties. It just reflects this deep public anxiety about reintroducing any kind of friction to a border that has worked so hard to, well, disappear.
It's the ultimate paradox, isn't it? Kneecap, a bilingual rap group, is erasing cultural barriers while governments are erecting new administrative ones.
Precisely. But amidst all those tensions, there are some fantastic heritage triumphs to celebrate.
Okay, let's talk about those. A major cultural milestone was the Moravian village of Gracehill in County Antrim.
Yes, it received UNESCO World Heritage status, a huge win for Northern Ireland's heritage landscape.
Why Gracehill? What's so special about it?
It's a fascinating place. It's an exceptionally well-preserved example of a unique planned settlement from the 18th century. It was founded by the Moravian Church.
So this UNESCO status, it validates its unique architecture and history on a global stage.
It does. And it's a reminder that heritage preservation isn't just about ancient ruins. It's about protecting these unique cultural histories, too.
And for all the history buffs listening, a massive archival event is on the horizon.
The 1926 census release.
For the Irish Free State, this is crucial material. It's a snapshot of life just 4 years after the state was established.
And this raises a big question. What is this data going to show us? It's the first comprehensive survey of the population in the new state.
So we'll get insights into demographics, occupations, language use.
All of it. And the National Archives are already preparing. They're actively looking for centenarians, people who were actually alive in 1926, to help capture that lived history.
That's incredible. And we also saw a quick shout out to local collaboration finding Bronze Age axe heads in Westmeath. A nice reminder that history is always an ongoing process.
Moving into more societal discussions, the education system is also seeing some big changes.
You're talking about the UK Supreme Court ruling.
Exactly. A landmark ruling that requires schools in Northern Ireland to teach about faiths beyond Christianity.
This is a huge shift. I mean, historically, the education system there has been quite divided along Christian lines.
It has. So this ruling forces schools to broaden their instruction to include world religions like Islam, Judaism, Hinduism. It's about preparing students for a more multicultural, globalized world, a direct reflection of a changing society.
And this move toward reflecting modern identities is also playing out, sometimes with a lot of tension, at the very local level. We saw a reference to a debate where a plan to change a park's name was halted.
That issue with the park name, it really underscores how sensitive historical memory still is.
The controversy was linked to a proposed new name, honoring a historical figure who had fought for Israel. And the debate got very heated very quickly.
It tapped into these broader, sometimes painful cultural discussions about how we should memorialize history in public spaces.
It really raises a question for communities, doesn't it? How do you balance honoring specific, maybe controversial historical figures with the need for unifying public spaces today?
It shows how even something as local as a park name can become a flashpoint for these big national identity questions.
But to wrap this section up on a more positive note, the arts infrastructure is clearly investing in the future, which brings us right back to where we started.
Yes, Culture Ireland and the Dublin Fringe Festival hosted an event called Information Toolbox.
And it marks 20 years of supporting Irish theater and dance artists.
It's such a crucial reminder. The global success we started with doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It relies on decades of institutional support for artists at the grassroots level.
And finally, the sources were just peppered with these inspiring little stories, like the 82-year-old graduating from DCU.
Or the updates on new Irish language digital hubs. It shows that the commitment to community, to learning, and to cultural identity is just incredibly strong.
So, after all of that, what does this all mean for you, the person trying to make sense of this vibrant but complex nation?
Well, we've traced two very different currents. On one hand, you have this extraordinary soaring global popularity of the arts,
symbolized by Kneecap surpassing the Beatles and Fontaines DC landing 2 Grammy nominations.
And that's juxtaposed against the enduring complexity of identity, policy, and history. We've seen the challenges, like the ETA scheme threatening that cross-border flow,
balanced by these incredible moments of preservation, like Gracehill getting UNESCO status.
And those tense local debates over history, like the park renaming controversy.
So you have a country achieving unprecedented cultural export culture that just flows freely across borders and languages.
While at the same time, it's grappling with the daily friction of policy and politics that are aimed at securing those very same borders.
Which brings us to our final provocative thought for you to consider.
If Irish culture is achieving this incredible global reach, which is evidenced by things like Grammy nominations and massive sales, how will these new international success stories, which are inherently modern and borderless, how will they influence the ongoing, very local debates about historical memory and identity?
Like the park controversy or the ETA concerns. Will global visibility accelerate localization, or will it maybe ease some of that friction?
Something fascinating to mull over as we head into the new year.
That's it for this episode of My Irish Radio, Music and Culture News. Thanks for joining us. And remember, you can hear the best in Irish and Celtic music 24 hours a day at myirishradio.com. If you ever dreamed of sharing your favorite tunes and stories, now's your chance. Become one of the hosts. Host your own show right here on My Irish Radio. Just send us an email. It's easy as that. myirishradio@gmail.com. Until next time, it's Jamie Flanagan. Keep the music playing and keep Ireland in your heart.